Alright, here we are with a new stream, new geometry. Should be pretty fun. I'm a little worried about my volume being okay. So we'll see how this goes. And alright, I have not played this at all since the stream yesterday, so only gonna play it on stream. So here we go. You may have noticed oh, thanks. I appreciate it. It's so hard to know. Is it morning or is it night? I don't remember where I left off. Oh, I think that's the moon rising. Looks like it's night. Alright, we'll start ourselves off with some sleep. I find the where it places you when you get up, I guess it makes sense, but in another house I had built in another game, because this side of the bed was right next to a wall, it actually stuck me outside the house whenever I woke up, and that was very scary when that happened, so I was not really a fan. Alright. I guess that a sword will do that job, though I did not mean for it to. Alright. Let me just think for a second about what I've got going on here. Okay, so we were talking about geometry yesterday, lesson 1, and I was getting ready for today and realized that I'd left out some pretty key things from that first lesson. So I'm using a book from the school I used to work for. So I noticed I'd skipped over some key vocab, so I thought I'd go back and look at that first. Hello, Crabapple. I am back at it again. I've got some work to do if I want to catch up to where you guys actually are in class, if that's like my goal. So this is my attempt at a coordinate plane that I made last night, and it occurred to me, because this looks really awkward. It occurred to me that I could have actually made it on the ground instead, like gotten a big flat piece of ground and put it on the ground and then looked from above. So you know what? I think that's probably step 1, is to get rid of this monstrosity and remake my coordinate grid. Why do you want to be a mod? I'm not necessarily against having a mod, but you know, you're gonna have to have like a thorough vetting and prove that you are of sound modness. I have a feeling that no matter how I do this, I'm just gonna end up like having to like undo building this stuff like multiple times. We'll see what happens. Parkour Lion, I wish that I had the thought to do this earlier as well. I hadn't even played Minecraft until a month ago, so I'm a little salty about that. Do the kids say that still? Salty? Hi, Sarah. Seeing lots of familiar faces. It's so Sarah. So yeah, I'm going to try to go through the geometry book, but I do have some catching up to do to where you guys actually are in class, so. Jeremy, that is some solid reasoning. I mean, the crab apple, that is some solid reasoning. I might have to do that on a break. Okay, so over on my screen, I don't know which side, I don't know if I'm pointing to the right side or not. We've got some more definitions that I neglected to go through last time. So it is, I'm going to be honest, it's one of the most annoying things about geometry is that there are so many definitions. And then on top of that, you end up with these things called postulates and theorems. And you either, your teacher may make you like legit memorize them, or maybe you get to like have a cheat sheet list or something. But no matter what, it feels very different from what you've been doing in your algebra class and pre-algebra class and all those classes before, because really, even for a lot of people like into pre-algebra and algebra 1, math can just kind of seem like it makes sense. And then all of a sudden you get into a class like geometry and you have to memorize math, and it's like, what are you guys doing to me? This is not fair. I've never had to memorize this before. 1 + 1 is 2. I didn't memorize that. It just makes sense. But I mean, you did actually. If I cheat in an item called scaffolding, it could make creating your grid much easier. I guess I gotta decide if I want to be the kind of person that mods. I hadn't decided that yet. I guess it would depend on if it really made the math that much better, because then it seems like it would make sense. But I'm also not afraid of a challenge. So it is hard to say. Okay, I was in the middle of talking about geometry and stuff. What are you doing? Okay, let's see. I'm going to clear out some space here, mow the grass. I'm going to create my grid while talking about these definitions. So the kind of first lesson that we had going on was talking about lines. Hello, trader. It's nice to see you here. Don't get in my way, please. With you and your llamas. We all just want to get along. By scaffolding, do you mean like creating like the grid? Like so that you can tell where the coordinates are like intersecting and stuff? You want me to teach geometry with Smash Brothers, Crabapple? I don't think, maybe physics? I did have a thought that it'd be fun to teach physics with like Mario Brothers, with like jumping and stuff, but Smash Brothers might be a better idea for that. Huh? Angles in Smash Brothers? Yeah, angles are going to be kind of tricky in Minecraft because anything other than perpendicular lines are going to be tricky. It's a very perpendicular game, but we're going to make it work. Okay, so these words here. So we got all a couple of words with the word co. Gotcha, parkour lion. So coplanar refers to points that are on the same plane, and collinear refers to points that are on the same line. And so defining or like making a word that explains what that is basically just makes it so if it's important to something you're doing, some figure you're drawing or something, if it's important for you to know that they lie on the same plane or that they lie on the same line, they can just use that word collinear or coplanar, and it makes it really easy to Man, nobody's been mowing the grass out here. It makes it really easy to know whether you should be drawing points A and B. Well, I guess A and B have to be on the same line. A, B, and C. Are they on the same line, or are you supposed to draw them where one is off of that line? So that's what words that are defined like that help us do, is just know exactly what the person who's talking, like, how do they actually want us to create the picture we've got going on. And then parallel lines, that's something that should be familiar to us from previous math classes, or maybe even just life. Maybe you've used the word parallel in your life before. I don't know why, but maybe you have. It's hard to say. But parallel lines are lines that don't meet. Because we might be talking about 3 dimensions, though, that actually makes a huge difference. We have to define that they are on the same plane and they don't intersect. That's what parallel lines are. Because if we think in Minecraft here, where I'm at, if I draw a line, let's see, if I make a line here, oh no, it's getting dark. You know, if I make a line here, but then I also make a line, whoops. I learned a cool new trick yesterday of crouching so that you don't fall off. Okay. Oh no, I hear a bad guy. Okay, this is my attempt to make a diagonal line here. Bear with me. Let's pretend these 2 lines go on in either direction. So we've got this line, we've got that line. If those continue on in both directions, they're not going to meet. But that doesn't mean they're parallel. So that's why when you see that definition I have over in my little note section of parallel having to be on the same plane, that's why. Lines that are not parallel are lines that intersect. I don't like the nighttime, so I'm going to go to sleep. Jaden is nicely in bed, and so hopefully will not join the stream, and that's why I'm streaming so late, is so that he will not be in the way, would be a nice way of putting it, I suppose. All right. Yeah. Okay. I am curious how the programming works for nighttime. Like, does it still pretend like stuff has happened at night, or does it just like entirely skip things? I don't know, Crabapple. Sometimes he wakes up, and that usually would mean like it might mean an interrupted stream if he does join us. Oh no, a zombie on fire. I have complete confidence in my abilities to get caught on fire. Catch the llama on fire. You know, now that I think about it, I'm not sure if I actually, on yesterday's stream, actually killed the burning zombies myself, or if they just died from the fire that was on them. So that kind of makes me a little bit sad, realizing that. It's fine. Okay. Instead of doing something productive to my Minecraft life, I am going to continue to make a humongous coordinate plane here. And if I run into some bamboo, I'm going to give Parkour Lion's idea a try. Use it for some scaffolding, because it is pretty annoying to have to count blocks over and over again, especially because I'm not really great at counting blocks. I'm going to run into water over here. All right, what's my next thing? Okay, so now that we have defined some things, we are ready for our first postulate. If your teacher does not happen to either have time or the willingness to go over the history of this geometry with you, I actually think it's really, really interesting. Hello, the Hoodie Ninja. Hello, Pranav. Man, computer science homework can totally wait. I'm just kidding. Make good decisions about your life, all of you, because that's important. And I did reach 1K subs, which I am pretty stinking excited about. So hooray! Okay, so the way that this guy named Euclid, he may not have actually come up with geometry originally, because this was so long ago that we can't really know, because people back then a lot of time would like compile things that other people before them had come up with, and it wasn't necessarily always easy to know if it was their original work or not. So if you didn't know that already, Pythagoras is a classic example that the Pythagorean theorem might not actually belong to Pythagoras as a thing that was strictly his. He had like an academy / cult thing of mathematicians, and so it may have been one of his students actually that came up with the theorem, but he kind of took all the credit. So Euclid has this book or series of books maybe called The Elements, in which he put all of this geometry stuff that we have down. It's actually called Euclidean geometry, because since then, what we would consider modern geometry, which is still almost 300 years old, was when modern geometry started, as opposed to over 2,000 years old would be Euclidean geometry. So non-Euclidean geometry is kind of the other side of things. In high school geometry, we stick pretty much to Euclidean geometry. So we just take this guy Euclid, and what he did is he said, let me like define this thing called geometry with as little wiggle room as possible. He wanted to prove that everything he was saying was true, and do it in a like really succinct way. So he started off with, I think it's the 3 definitions we started with yesterday. The point, line, and plane. Those are called undefined terms, ironically, because I just called them definitions. They're called undefined terms. So he started with those, and then he led into 5 postulates that are really famous. So we're gonna talk about the first one right here. Postulate 1, segment addition postulate. A postulate is a super fancy word for a statement that everyone should accept as being true without proof. And so if you read the postulates, you should be like, oh, this totally like makes sense, that I would actually agree with this. Maybe not at first, maybe somebody has to explain it to you. So postulate 1, segment addition postulate. Let A, B, and C be collinear points. If B is between A and C, then AB plus BC equals AC. So let's make ourselves a line with diorite, and we're going to make some points on this line. This line's going to go on forever, so I'm going to make it run into this over here. We've got 3 collinear points, so they are on the same line. I don't feel like that's different enough. I'll make it be dirt. There's point A. I can make more of my line. Here is point B. More of my line. And point C. And more of my line, because the line goes on forever. I don't have the ability to put, well, I guess I could put an arrow. It just would look awkward. And I don't have any more diorite, so I'm not going to make an arrow. That's really what decided it for me. All right, so this line goes on forever, and we're going to look at it from up above to get a perspective. So this is something that Euclid and lots of mathematicians since have said makes complete sense and does not need to be proven. Well, that was an annoying thing that happened there, that grass grew on that one point. So if we say in alphabetical order that these points are A, B, and C, they are collinear, meaning they're on the same line. And it specifies B is between A and C in order for this to work with their next statement. Also, mathematicians really like to put things in alphabetical order. So if they just tell you to make 3 points that are collinear, you should probably assume they mean for you to put them in order alphabetically. So it's saying that if they're all in the same line and B is in the middle, that from A to B plus from B to C should equal A to C. And so what that means is that this length plus this length should equal this whole length. And you know what? That makes perfect sense to me. If I get down closer where I can actually see the grid, we could count that if we wanted to. Bye, Pranav. Thanks for watching. Good luck with your homework. So we could count this. We could say that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This length is 6. I'm going to have to, you know what? It's 6, meaning there are 6 blocks. Okay. This length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so that means that from the far left to the far right should be 6 plus 7, which is 13. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Freaked out a little bit because I stepped on the thing. So it should make perfect sense, right? That if it's essentially like if you had a rope or something and you cut it, well, the two parts of that rope added together would be the length of the original rope. So that's all that the postulate's saying. That's something that we're supposed to just take as being true without having to prove it. And if you're far enough already in geometry to know about proofs, then you're probably like, I'm really happy that that was one less thing that had to be proven. Because proving things kind of is annoying, especially in high school geometry where it's the first time that you're doing it. So then that leads us to a definition, segment bisector. I'm going to use this. Now let's call this a segment. How long is this? I'm going to make it shorter. For the simplicity of, oh, you know, I'll just use the 13 here in the middle. So that's a better idea. No, 13 is a terrible idea because that's odd. Okay, so we're going to make a segment that's 12. No, 13 would be better in Minecraft. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Let's see. Is this the middle? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nope, that's not the middle. Do I hear the trader or a skeleton? Now it should be the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, the cobblestone I felt like was really close in color to the diorite, but it could be worth it to just get some granite, which would also be a different color, to be able to see it better. You raise a very good point. I had not had that much experience with placing dirt and then seeing grass grow on it, so. I haven't run into any andesite yet, strangely enough, so oh no, there's a zombie. Oh, that was really... It's not over yet. It's not over yet. Now it's over. I was like, that was really close, but that was almost really close. Woo! Either I haven't run into andesite or I just haven't realized I ran into it and didn't mine it. Okay. So, cobblestone.
What do you use andesite for?
Just different color block. The red rock in the cave. Got it. I will go back after I figure out if this is the middle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. So a segment bisector is where you cut a segment of a certain length in half with something else, like a line, a ray, another line segment. And something that I think will be impossible for me to show in Minecraft, but I might try to show other videos on at some point, is that you can actually do this. Hey, stop growing. Stop growing grass. Cut that out. Okay. You can do all this. You can make all these things that we're kind of about to talk about with just a compass and a straight edge, like a ruler. And I think it's really neat. It's kind of annoying to do because, like, why would I do this when I could just measure to the middle and draw a line? But I think it's really neat to think about how they used to do this back in the day, before they maybe had super precision tools like I think we have now. So that was essentially the first lesson from the geometry book. We did the distance formula and the midpoint formula last night. We talked about them. And so lesson 2 starts talking about angles. And I have this strange feeling like angles are going to be super tricky in Minecraft to portray, but I'm willing to give it a shot, and hopefully you'll all bear with me. I'm gonna, the pink rock? No, that's granite. What red rock? Do I have any torches? No. So I left this here yesterday because I didn't want to have to fall down there to get any of this. So hopefully I just won't fall down. We'll see what happens. The pink one. Granite. Do you think that Enderman is gonna leave me alone? Because I'm not interested in what he's got going on. Did he leave? Oh, I'm just gonna run away. I find this game absolutely terrifying in a lot of ways, which is probably pretty silly. Okay. Do you think he's gonna come out and come get me? Because that would make me sad. I got 3 granite, and I just dropped a bunch of dirt on the floor. Alright, I feel like I really need a bigger canvas to really get this going. Don't point my cursor at its eyes. I was under the impression it was that about how long you look at him. Is it actually like looking him directly in the eyes? Hey, Susanna. Yeah, I knew he moves stuff around, and I know that he like isn't supposed to hurt you if you leave him alone. And I also think, hey, Charmed Panda. I also have heard he teleports. I usually just like try to run away, if I'm being honest. Wonder if I have enough iron for a bucket instead of destroying all this potential water source. Maybe I'll take a couple just in case.
You'll find more water.
I will find more water, but what if I don't? I am just that kind of paranoid. I probably also don't know how to make it. Have I? Oh. Whoop. A bucket. Is this the best use of my iron? It's hard to say. Probably not. But I'm going to go for it. The location of the cursor is what matters. That's good to know. So is that, I wonder if that's different on Xbox, because I feel like you're, like, do you point a cursor on the Xbox still? Okay. Got it. Let's see. Let's see.
You're really making a bucket.
I made a bucket.
There's like a million water sources all over the place.
I know it's silly. I said it was silly to make a bucket, but I feel like I think this is probably the, earth conservationist in me
Don't waste water.
that's like, yeah, don't waste water. There's perfectly good water here. What if I need water, I don't know, to try to drown a witch? Okay, this got a little carried away here, because that's definitely not how you would try to do that. But, like, let's say I had a reason to have some water, like, oh man, look, this lava source randomly sprung up, and I don't have any water because I got rid of it all. That would be silly. That would be so silly. Function turned on. F3 and B. Hitboxes shown. Whoa! Interesting. I don't know how I feel about that. What I really need to do, and this would make it take a really long time for me to explain any geometry, but I'm thinking this is a really good idea. Let me know if you agree. I need to find some lava and some water, make enough obsidian to just make a huge, like, blank canvas on which to create math. And I think that would be, like, obviously the best use of my time right now. No contest. Wait. What are those lines for? I feel like I'm getting a look at the intricate, like, is it saying that these blocks have a line of sight? That's crazy. Why would blocks have a line of sight? I think I might turn this off for now, because
What is that?
it's the line of sight of the blocks.
How do you turn that on?
F3 and B. Okay.
Interesting.
So, hopefully I'll remember if the Enderman shows up out here. One of the things I love about Minecraft actually is this really pointless clearing land, or like cutting down trees or mining rock, that it's like, why am I even doing this? This is kind of silly. But here I go. Hey, Marble Racing Studios. I'm so excited I got to 1K subs. And I don't know how many people from school are watching right now, but I know who the 1000th sub was, and it's a teacher at school.
Who was it?
A new teacher this year. So, I'm thinking about getting him a cake or a pumpkin spice latte as thanks. Okay. It's night. Gotta go back. I need to make a bigger house. So, angles. Let's see. F3, G. Whoa! The llama just said, huh? That is interesting. Now that's a grid. Whoa. That's cool. That's really cool. I don't think it's gonna work to to use that. Maybe to turn it on and off, but definitely not to have it on all the time. Okay, I just heard a spider. Be gone. Be gone, spider. We don't want you here. We don't want you here. And I'm gonna get in my house and then turn this off. And thanks for the tips there. That's pretty cool. Whew. Okay. That sounds pretty ominous. Is the trader okay? Does the trader get hurt by bad guys? Stupid use button. Okay. So, an angle, really geometry, I think one definition of what geometry is the study of angles. And so we talk a lot about angles. A lot. So we've got, what have we got here? We've got just an angle itself is a figure formed by two rays with the same endpoint. I've got a picture drawn over there to the side. And this is one of the things that is a little bit of an issue is the way we name angles can be confusing at first. We either name them using 3 points. I hear a bird and it's annoying because I'm sure that the bird isn't going to hurt me, but I've been hurt by birds before. I didn't know about phantoms in the game I was playing and hadn't created a bed, so I'd been awake for, I don't know, the entirety of the game I was playing, and then started getting attacked by phantoms, and it was terrible. I thought it was because I picked an egg up off the ground, and so I even went and ditched the egg, hoping that it would, decide it didn't want to attack me anymore, but that's not why. It was because it was a phantom and I hadn't slept. Okay. Ooh, you know what I could use for points that would stand out? Flowers. I think that's a really good idea. I'm going to come back to that one. Alright, so an angle, two rays with the same endpoint. They don't actually have to be rays. They just have to be two lines or rays or line segments that meet somewhere, so that you've got, a cross of some sort, and you have an area that you can talk about that's between the lines. And so if you look over here, here's my picture. I've got 3 points. B is called the vertex. It's if you probably before geometry, like maybe a long time ago or 2 or 3 years ago, talked about like cubes and other three-dimensional figures and their vertices, like counting how many faces and vertices they have. That's actually the same word. Vertices is the plural of vertex. And if you go back to the Latin roots of the word vertex, basic I'm sorry. Somehow the origin, I think, of kind of where the word vertex comes from is it's describing the thing that is the farthest one direction, like the highest of the high or the lowest of the low. That would be what a vertex is when you're talking about parabolas. But to me, it ends up looking at a whole at math. It ends up being what's the most important thing to this. So the most important thing about this angle is where the two lines meet, because we can't actually name. What is that noise? That was a scary noise. I feel like that noise should mean that I'm in danger.
Can you replicate this noise?
It was a noise like like a musical danger noise. I've never heard it before in my life. Hey Titus, thanks for the congrats. Alright, I've got a nice wide open space here. I feel like I should probably have some other priorities in Minecraft land that are not my priorities in geometry land, so I'm gonna have to try to do a balance here. Oh, shows there's a cave nearby? Okay. I actually normally play games with like very little volume, but I obviously am playing with the volume on, and that's really helpful in this game because, you know, stuff comes and attacks you all the time. But it also is very scary then to hear monsters. It was not Mr. Boreals, although that's a good guess. I don't actually. So the problem with knowing who the subs are is like no one can see when I sub to people because I have that feature turned off. Like my subs are private because I'm subbed to like stuff that my 2-year-old watches. So if they don't have it turned on where you can see their subs, then I wouldn't know if he's even subbed. So it's a different teacher, different new one. There's a lot of them, so. And I was trying to give a hint by saying I was thinking about getting him a pumpkin spice latte. I guess I said them before. I can confirm it's a him. Okay, angles. Okay, there are the creepy cave sounds. That might be helpful. But what if I want to know that there is a cave? These are the questions that keep me up at night. I am actually kind of regretting putting my house so close to this, if you can even call this a house, which is debatable. Is that a llama noise? That felt more like a zombie noise. I've dug up a lot of dirt. That's a zombie noise. I think there's a zombie in that cave, the back door of my house. I'm not gonna go. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Alright. Oh, I did it again. Well, we're living large with some iron shovels here. Rip. I have not played a game long enough yet to feel like really comfortable in the amount of iron I have collected, so alright, good to know that I can do that. Maybe I'll try that. Sounds. Ambient environment. Alright, we'll see. Okay. So we'll just stare at the trader here and talk about angles. So one of the things with angles is you can name them a bunch of different ways, and so you can use the points that are there, the 3 of these points, or you can just use the vertex point, or sometimes you'll just name the angle and put it inside where you want. Because if you think about it, if you name this angle B, and that's just the point there, the vertex, are we talking about the angle that is this small angle, or are we talking about this big angle that goes all the way around? Which I would say we are definitely talking about the small angle here, because that's why I labeled it with the 1. the way we show people that it's an angle is that little part of a triangle. It looks like an angle, that symbol. It also looks a lot like a less than symbol. My drawing of it is not necessarily super great because when you're doing it, you actually like the bottom of it is actually like kind of in line with what you're writing, and then this goes up. So it should not really look like a less than symbol. It should look like what I have there on the left. So if you're naming it with 3 points, so that may happen if you have more lines and more intersections and more possible angles, you put the vertex in the middle, but otherwise it doesn't matter whether you put the A or the C first. So ABC is referring to this angle, and so is CBA, referring to this angle. We tend to assume that it's talking about the acute angle as opposed to the bigger angle, which may or may not always be a good assumption, but for the most part, that's what it tends to be. So that's what an angle is, a vertex. We have sides of an angle, the two rays or whatever it may be that make up an angle. They're just called sides. And that is helpful then, like when we start having actual figures, that it would make sense that they would be sides of the figure, but they're also sides of a particular angle. Let's see. So angles in a geometry class, typically you'll see them measured in degrees. There is another kind of measurement that we usually save for pre-calculus and trigonometry, or maybe the end of algebra 2. But you have heard of degrees in your life because you have probably either watched or participated in skateboarding or skiing or figure skating, where people turn in circles, and how many times they turn, they signify with how many degrees that is. So 360 is one full circle. So if you do a 360 on a skateboard, that means that you did a jump where you turned all the way around. And I know this because of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, in case anybody's curious where my skateboarding knowledge comes from. Because I am too clumsy to skateboard myself, but Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 back in the day was the game. So 360 is one time around. You could talk about like a 720 would be 2 times around. That's, you know, really impressive. Figure skating, I think they like to turn a bunch of times in one go, in ways that it would be hard to do that on a skateboard. And maybe ballet too. They do lots of spinning in ballet. So all sorts of times have you heard of degrees. And these degrees are not the same as temperature. Temperature is also measured in a unit called degrees Fahrenheit, or degrees Celsius, or degrees Kelvin. I don't actually know if they're called degrees in Kelvin, but yeah, they're just called kelvins. So nice job, Mr. Kelvin, for getting a unit named after you. And Mr. Celsius and Mr. Fahrenheit, probably. Where was I? Okay, so this thing called degrees, there's 360 degrees in a circle. If you're like, that's really weird, why are there 360 degrees? It goes back to ancient civilizations and how they decided to do things, and now we're kind of stuck with it, except for the fact that in higher level math we actually do things differently. Do I have enough to make another chest here? Oh. Yeah, it's not going to let me open that unless I make my roof taller. I think I will move it. I think I need to actually use the right button. Okay. Maybe that zombie is just sleeping and I'm disturbing him, so I'll just get out of his hair. No, I want to open the back door and see if he's like right there for me to kill, because that has happened to me before. You out there? You out there, buddy? Is that you? Stop disturbing my sleep. Huh. That's a cool trick. Place a slab on it. Must be on top half of block. Okay, I don't know. I didn't know that was a thing that you could do, is place a slab on the top half of a block.
What?
So... Oh. Whoops. Oh. Interesting. So, in my original Minecraft game that I've put the most time into, what do you call it? Oh, I made a whole bunch of slabs for the foundation of this really cool house I was going to build. And then it ended, like, I was like, oh, I can't actually use this because in the bottom half of, like, there's this little gap at the bottom, right? But I guess if you put it on the higher spot in the block, then it would mate up with your wall blocks. I still don't know if that's what I would want to do, but I don't know. Hi, Connor. You know, I'm just going to be honest, and probably no one's sad about this, but there's a lot more Minecraft going on right now than math. We're talking about angles right now, and cutting some grass. See, I think I'm going to have to find some type of brick to fill this all in with. I mean, I guess it could be grass, but the grass is also going to grow, which seems annoying. I'm thinking granite might be the way to go. Minecraft is the kind of game where you could just spend your entire time clearing a field for a coordinate plane that you never use. So... okay, so we talked about degrees. Oh, whenever you are actually talking about how big an angle is, as opposed to naming the angle itself, you put an M in front of the little angle symbol. So I've taught geometry twice, I want to say, in my life. Maybe only once. Maybe twice. It's hard to remember. And it was my whoops. It was my first and second year of teaching. So when I was a wee young teacher, and almost at the end of the geometry class, one of the students goes, "That M means measure," like, and was completely surprised by that. And I was like, was that my fault? Did I not tell them that that's what that was? Or did he just not pay attention the whole time? And the world will never know which of those is the case.
Wait, that M means measure?
That M means measure. That's, well, okay. I guess it doesn't have to mean measure, but that's what you should think of it as. Maybe that's not originally what it was, but we're talking about the measure of the angle, like how big it is, so it might as well mean measure. Way to make me doubt myself. Person on the couch. Let's see. I'm gonna make another stone pickaxe and get rid of this junk so I have inventory, because I'm gonna go digging in a cave over here while I talk about the different types of angles. This is also probably something that you would be familiar with before having actually taken geometry. We end up using these words. I don't want that slab in here either. I'm gonna, wait, no, there. And torches. Okay. So acute angles are angles that are less than 90 degrees, and the textbook I have actually specifies also that it's bigger than 0, because there are such things as negative angles, although you probably won't encounter them in your high school geometry class. You will encounter them in your high school pre-calculus or trig class or a college equivalent. so between 0 and 90 is acute angle. There's a really easy way to remember that, a really easy trick. So acute angles are small angles, and so you look at the angle and you go, oh, you're just so little and cute, and it's an acute angle. And then a right angle is 90 degrees. We like right angles. Check out all these, I don't know if you've noticed, check out all these right angles we have going on in this game, because they're all blocks. Everything is perpendicular. Perpendicular is the word that means meets at right angles. So this is really annoying for the fact that I would like to be able to show angles that are not right angles, but if they're supposed to be right, there's like no way to mess that up. These are right angles. So right angle is equal to 90 degrees. Obtuse is greater than 90 and less than 180, and straight angles are equal to 180. A straight angle is if you have a straight line and are talking about the angle right here on one side or the other, that's a straight angle. Which you'd be surprised how often that comes up in geometry, but it does. Okay, one last tip for now. That's a good tip because so there will be a bar under the cursor that goes down. I've seen that bar. So I want to time it so that it's filled back up, and I'll do more DPS. I had a feeling that my technique was really bad. The technique I use is 95% panic. I know you can't tell because obviously it looks like I'm keeping my cool, but these monsters terrify me.
Looks like you're keeping your cool.
Yeah, it looks like I'm keeping my cool. For sure. Every
Cool means boiling.
I'm being heckled from my couch, but that's fine. Okay. So we have talked about the different ways that we can name angles. So that's helpful mainly like what I was talking about earlier with how technically there's two angles here for ABC or CBA, because there is, I should actually just draw it here. There is this angle, which we do these little curve things on angles a lot in geometry. That's a thing that happens. There's that angle that's orange, but there's also this angle all the way around that's green. And so how do I know which angle they're talking about? So I said earlier the word acute before having actually like said what it was, hoping that it wouldn't be a big deal. Now we can talk about it. An acute angle is an angle that's less than 90 degrees. Most of the time, the angle they will be talking about is the acute angle, not the other one, because the other one is not even obtuse, according to this book's definition of obtuse, because it says obtuse is up to 180. So, okay, I want granite and anything else that's cool down here. Let me go back down to my notes. Okay, so then we've got an angle bisector like we had a segment bisector. So if you have an angle and you split it in half with a segment or a line or a ray, then you've got yourself an angle bisector. And this one to me is really cool. I feel like a segment bisector, it's like, why don't I just measure it with a ruler and then figure out what's halfway and then draw my line. I'm sure that that's, just as easy as using a protractor and compass or straight edge and compass. But when you're doing an angle bisector, I'm terrible personally with protractors and measuring angles well. But doing it with a compass, it actually like works out really, really neat. And so I'm going to try to make some videos of constructions that you guys can check out if you're curious about that. Some geometry classes just completely skip that sort of stuff because they don't have time. And probably the people who are in those, rejoice that that's one less thing they have to memorize, because it is a little bit annoying, but it is actually really cool. And I think it makes the geometry that you're doing make more sense. I like funny rhymes that are also appropriate, just to clarify. All right, see you, Parkour Lion. Thanks for all the tips. It's nice to have somebody in chat who has some helpful hints. Okay, which direction do I want to go here? There's pink stone. I want pink stone. Okay, and then the next thing that we end up coming to is the second postulate called the angle addition postulate, which I did not actually write out yet, but goes really similarly to the segment addition postulate. Again, postulate is a word that means something that you can take to be true without needing to prove it because it should be obvious. And so just like the segment addition postulate, it's saying if you have two angles and you add their measures together, it should equal a bigger angle. So I actually can use this drawing I already have over here. This PQR is the big angle here. Okay, so P to Q to R, that's the angle that is on from over here to over here. The angle addition postulate would say that the measure, does it say measure? Hang on, I gotta turn the page a few times. I'd gone back to the previous lesson because I had definitely skipped some stuff on accident last time. It does say, and I actually used the same letters as the book in the same place, and I didn't even look at it while I was making the figure, so way to go me. Okay, so angle PQR, the measure of that angle, that big angle, is equal to the measure of the two smaller ones, so angle 1 and angle 2. If we want to give it its names with letters, that'd be PQS or SQP plus the measure of SQR or RQS if you prefer. Those should add together. So let's say that we knew that this one was 40 and this one was 30. Then we know that together the big angle there is 70 degrees. So when you put it in terms like that with actual like numbers, hopefully it's like, well, that's obvious. Why do we even need to say that? And the reason we're saying it, the reason we have these postulates is because we use these postulates to help us prove some of the first theorems that we're going to look at that are things that are true but are not quite so obviously true. So get excited. I hate dark rooms in Minecraft. They're scary. I don't know, I'm guessing I haven't been down here since there are no torches. Ooh, I found some iron. Well, let's see. That's my sword. Oof. So with the segment addition postulate and the angle addition postulate, you know what geometry bucks like to do? They like to throw some algebra at you. So instead of just being like, hey, this angle's 30 and this angle's 40, so what's the bigger angle? Which, if you think about it, is a pretty easy calculation to make, right? You're just adding them together. Instead of that, they're like, I hear a monster, I believe. So I'll come back to that. Instead of that, they will, they'll put X's. So let me erase these angles right here. Ooh, that was too much. How good am I at drawing straight lines? Oh, that's actually pretty good. So they might say that this is 2x plus 5 and this is 3x minus 7, and they'll put it in parentheses and put a degree symbol out here because they're talking about how big those angles are. And then they might say that the measure of PQR is, I gotta think of something that's going to work out nicely here. I mean, I don't have to, but I'd like to. This is not going to be to scale. I don't know. Like, let's say that it adds up to be, let's say it adds up to be 70. But what they actually ask us is what x is. Or maybe they ask us what the two angles are, but it's not, we don't know that they're 35 and 35. They haven't told us that this is an angled bisector, even though this was my example of an angled bisector. So maybe it is, but maybe it's not. Well, what we can do is we can say, well, these two angles added together, so 2x plus 5 plus 3x minus 7, those two angles added together have to equal 70 degrees. We don't actually need the parentheses or the degree symbols to work this out now that we're in algebra land. We can just say what's 2x plus 3x? It would be 5x. What's 5 minus 7? It's negative 2. I'm just going to quickly change this to 72 as an angle. No, not 72. That's not helpful. I'm going to change it to 73. Because if it's 73 degrees instead of 70, when I add 2, I get something that is divisible by 5. Hooray! And actually, I basically am ignoring all of these degree symbols because what x equals here, I mean, I guess we could argue about whether that should have a degree symbol or not. I think that that's one of those things that maybe doesn't matter. But x is not either one of these angles, actually. We have to actually plug it in. The way they write this, where they put the degree symbol outside, implies that x does not have a unit in itself. So 5 into 75 is 15. So if that's all they wanted us to do is find x, then voila, we found it. A lot of times, though, they'll actually want us to find the angles. So you'd go back and plug it back in. So 2 times 15 plus 5 is 30 plus 5, so 35. And then either plugging it in here or saying 73 minus 35 using the angle addition postulate, although that's hard. What, a 38? So this other one is 38 degrees. And you'd probably want to label them, like 35 degrees is the measure of angle PQS, 38 is the measure of angle SQR. And voila, we've solved a problem in geometry that required us to do Algebra 1. You're going to see that a lot. And my theory on it is because of how many because of how many schools stick geometry in the middle of Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, it's actually really nice to still do some algebra so that you don't get super rusty. So that's one theory. But also, like, geometry is kind of boring without algebra, in my opinion. I think that's, ooh, water. But I think also I'm hearing spiders. I think there's water. Is it nighttime? Peace out, y'all. Actually, I'm going to get this iron. It's not that I'm scared. It's just that I don't want to be here anymore. Okay. Wait. How did I get in here? Here we go. I found more iron. That's kind of unfortunate placement. Isn't it really the first gravel that I've gotten in this game? Because that's kind of funny. I think it gave me the iron. Just some boring Minecraft stuff. Don't worry, I'll get back to the math in just a second. Just a sec. Let's see. Actually, I need to look and see what else is after that in this lesson that I was going through. Because it's easier to teach when you have something to start off with. I am using a particular textbook. Man, this music is loud that I'm hearing right now. I thought this was one of the ways out, but now it doesn't look like it's the way out. Oh, there's some sky right there. I just thought my pickaxe was a zombie. Okay. That's fine. Pull out my sword. It's so dark. Hey, I made it. I made it. Safe and sound. Oh wait, did I come in through the... I went down there through this other door, I think. That's kind of funny. There are monsters nearby. I think I slightly improved my technique there. So, pretty happy about that. Hey, there we go. Okay. Angle addition postulate. Got some constructions here that I don't feel like I can do. You know, that sounds like what I just had, which was a skeleton a second ago. Sounds like a very violent skeleton. Sounds like a skeleton trying to get in the door. Now I can't hear him. The other door? Do you think? No. Let's see here. Get some iron going. That was a lot of iron I collected. I didn't even realize. I feel rich. Okay. So do you think that skeleton's gone now, or what? What are we thinking? Was it a skeleton? It's so hard to know. So here's a math problem, is thinking about what are those? Do you guys see those people over there? Are those villagers? Hi, Veronica. What are these people? Should I not look at them? Or is that just an Enderman thing? Are there any people left in this stream who actually play Minecraft and can tell me what this is? Sup, peeps? Like, he looks like he's wearing a hat that is his face. And boy, that's creepy. How to kill a zombie pigman? Is that who that is? A zombie pigman? If I get closer, are they gonna attack me? That sounds angry. It will kill me? So, this is a runaway sort of situation? Thank you so much. I was just coming over here to mow some grass. I am at peace with the world. Well, I guess not with the grass. Okay, and they're leaving too now. So, we all good. Everything's fine. Everything's awesome. Okay. So that's all of the... They're pillagers, some sorcerer guy. I don't know. All I needed was the indication that running was a good idea, and I'm all about that. It does not take much for me to just want to run away, if I'm being honest with you. Okay, this is gonna be my whiteboard for the math I'm gonna do. Now, the chances that I have enough of this are very, very slim. If I've learned anything about Minecraft and its usefulness with math, it's that this is a big rectangle. Maybe it's a square, but for sure it's a rectangle-ish. It's going to be a rectangle, because why would I make it not be a rectangle or a square? But yeah, like I'm going to have enough probably to go down this like one time, and I had 50. So if it is kind of squarish, 50 by 50 is 250, so it will require me to have, that would require 250 of this kind of block, which is going to take some effort. So, see how far that got me? Not very far. And that's why I've been known in another game to just try to turn all the lava into obsidian for an obsidian palace that I have yet to make. I'm sure you all can understand that. They try to find diamonds. I don't have any diamonds for them to take. Are there people who steal your stuff in this game? Because that would make me sad. I mean, like, obviously if I was playing multiplayer, that would be a thing probably, that people would steal my stuff. Which is why I don't play multiplayer. Personally.
Why don't you play multiplayer?
Because people would try to kill me and steal my stuff. And it costs money, I think. Maybe not. I mean, to have my own realm, it would cost money. Alright. I am actually gonna call it quits here, I think. Because I am at a good stopping point. That was the end of a lesson. So we've now talked about segments and angles, which is a really great intro to geometry. Those are the two things you end up talking about a ton here at the beginning. Everything really builds from there. So this is something that I'm hoping to keep doing, especially if people continue to seem like they like it. You'll notice there was a lot more Minecraft than math, which hopefully no one's opposed to. And I do plan to make shortened videos that are condenser, and if you're just looking for the math. I also thought it'd be cool to make some videos if you're just interested in the Minecraft, but you know, that all takes time as well. So I'm just gonna oh no, I messed up my mining or digging. I do think I'm gonna use flowers for points the next time I need to like try to represent something. I think the flowers would be really pretty, really make the whole thing pop. Okay. Alright, so thank you those of you still watching. Thank you if you're watching this later and getting a kick out of it, and I will hopefully see you guys in a future stream or a future video. I'm making like a big area, like a whiteboard, so I'm trying to like teach math while I do this, and so I'm just gonna make a big like area that has the same color stone that then I can like put other blocks on top to represent like lines and angles and stuff. That's my plan right now. I had a different thing going for that and it really wasn't working, so this is my new plan. We'll see how it works out. So, alright, I'll see you guys at another time.